stories with you, like on the private ones.
Sounds good.
Oh,
We're live.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone. We got Virgil
going?
here. Beth's going to join us for a little bit.
Just for a few.
Just for a few.
Just for a few.
I got to know Virgil through a reading they asked for many months ago. And it was actually kind of a test, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to tell you much about it because like I told you, I never reached out to any psychics or card or readers at all before, but I can't remember how we found you. And I was like, okay, this is the dude that I have to reach out to. And then I said, okay, let me see what's going to happen. Like, I don't want to give too much information, or because I know there's so much around me and my team, and I don't know if it could confuse people. So that's why I reached out to you, and you were spot on.
Really interesting because you weren't ready to open up. Even though it was just a video, I got your information, but it was the strangest thing when I did the reading. And I don't see this with other people. I was getting 5 guides around you.
Ooh, Virgil.
And I've never seen 5 guides around anyone.
I know what that
meant. And knowing now who Virgil is,
makes sense.
I was getting an aura that was black. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. You're right. I was being blocked at the time because it was kind of a test, but just,
Virgil.
I didn't mean to
do.
I know you didn't mean it, but I think that was part of the test, though. But what was really strange to me, I seen a lot of high authority guides around you. You know, one was part of your ancestry, which felt like a great grandfather or something, but there was someone else, and I wasn't sure who it was, but it felt big time, right? Very ancient. Well, kind of know now.
Yeah.
It's one of our friends out there guiding you.
Right? I told you earlier, I didn't know if they were spirits or if it was our other friends. So finally reaching out to you and understanding more of the technical or like the terminology and stuff helps a lot. So when I watch you guys on, I'm able to like, oh my God, this is exactly what is happening. And like, okay, now I get the whole thing. So I'm able to communicate more about it and share with it. And my whole thing was just to, you know, it's been my whole life since I was a kid, teaching everybody about what is in my a conduit for. So I have been doing that my whole life, reaching out to the whole world or who would see it to see if they could pick up what I was sending out there or what they were sending out there through me. So it's been hit a couple of times, but not as close as what I got from you guys.
It's really interesting stuff. More and more I talk, the more stuff I'm hopefully be able to help you out with and get.
And what you had to say made a lot of sense to me. There's a few things that you said that like, that make a lot of sense. Like that moving through the matrixy thing, my hand motion. You know what I mean? When you were trying to move through your house. I know what you're that means.
It covers me that you know that you guys that you've seen it and that you recognized it, because everybody, I've only had like 3 people in my entire life who know what I was talking about, but like I can understand it. We're completely strangers, like you and I, all of us are. But I feel that I've known you guys for a long time, and I know how you guys say, like, you always kind of choose people that you're gonna reconnect with. And am I here, or did I go out?
You're here. You're here, Virgil.
Okay, so it's like now I know that you guys are the people that I have to connect with and hopefully figure more things out and help more people through this.
Yeah,
it's every little connection helps. It really does, because you never. I mean, I'm learning so much more now.
Yeah.
The reaching out is huge. I have found.
Sense when you talk about this matrix, you know, the universe is a matrix. It's all intertwined. There's tentacles everywhere, and like with the Matrix movie, you know, you see all kinds of things like download, and
Mhm.
it's really neat.
Mhm.
Connie here also says she has vivid dreams of UFOs,
Ooh,
and she's a Native American person also.
Oh, sweet.
But everyone wants to know your story from the beginning, kind of thing. You know, how
Should I?
from like as a kid, we start off with there, you know, as a kid, you know, dreams you're having, you know, when you realized the influences our friends are giving you. When we get into your
Should I?
art, you know, just kind of go from the start. And
Now, just before you guys get going, I'm gonna have to skedaddle, but I'll be watching. I just also, Virgil, your art really said something to me, so we'll talk about that later. But
Awesome. Okay.
like, I watched the video and some of the pictures, and there's something there. It actually is like a thing, but you already know that. So
Sweet.
I'm going to go ahead and go, and I'm going to get into the chat and go hang out with my granddaughter. And I'm so glad I got to talk to you, Virgil.
Nice
And
to talk to you.
I hope we can do it again for sure.
Yeah, of course. That'll be fun.
Okay.
Compare.
Okay. Bye, Scott. I'll be in the chat, you guys.
take care of the baby.
Oh, I will. Bye.
Cool.
All right.
So, do you want me to tell like exactly like what I spoke to you guys about like how
Yeah, a
how
little
was it?
bit, you know, nothing that you don't want to share, you know, like before, but other, you know, because, you know, a history story of how things came, you know, basically when you first started realizing different things, because
Mhm.
everyone's curious, you know, even with, you know, psychics or readers, how they became, you know, so how your
Well,
interaction with our space friends and what you've, you know, coming up to your art within your family,
okay.
you know, what your ancestors, grandpa, dad may have given you of influence, you know, and knowledge of spirit.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
Cool. Well, hello everybody. I'm Virgil Ortiz. I'm from Cochiti, Pueblo, New Mexico. And Cochiti is located between Santa Fe and Albuquerque. And it was my first time to share the story like with people that I don't know. And I'm usually sharing it in a way, but not really talking about it like this. And it's the first time that I reached out to somebody that is a reader or somebody that has connections to this type of goings on. And it's been with me since I was a kid. And I'm an artist, and it's really hard to explain like, everything that I do because I work in so many different mediums. But the easiest thing to do is just to go to my website or Instagram, and it's under my name, just Virgil Ortiz. So you could really see more of what I do and how I present it and how I try to put out what is being. I'm just a conduit. It's not my talent, but I'm getting so much information through not only through our spirits of what I know being a indigenous person and how I grew up in Cochiti, Pueblo, but also there's extra information coming through, and I just feel like this talent has been lent to me for a little bit. So I got to find out exactly what I'm supposed to do it, how I'm supposed to use it, and how I'm supposed to make sure that the traditional clay making using old school methods and materials, like meaning we go dig our own clay, we make our own paints, and that's just it's a dying art form in Cochiti. And I was on our mother's side, I was born into a family of potters, so all of them worked with clay. Our dad was a drum maker. Our mom passed in 2007, and our dad in like 2015. So I'm the youngest of my 6 kids in my family. So I was the one that kind of stayed around our parents longer than most of them because everybody went to school. But yeah, I was brought into this whole family environment of, I thought everybody was an artist. I didn't even know what an artist was, but it was like pottery being making. So when I come back home from school, instead of going out and playing, I'd rather like stay inside and draw or work with clay. And I'll be like, what are you guys doing? Like, you guys gonna go make pottery? And they're like, what are you talking about? So it never crossed my mind that like, I didn't even know art was being made on a daily basis, but I was lucky to be able to be born into this family and learn that whole tradition. So, the most important part to my backstory was that, and how I know I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing, is because when we would, our mom would be working with clay every day on the dining room table in her studio, and she would encourage all the kids, like, pick up the clay, see if it speaks to you, work with it, sit next to me, and help me out. But our parents would always take us to gather all the materials that we needed. So we'd go to different parts of the Cochiti reservation and go dig our clay over here in the mountains, go to another spot to get the temper, which is palmistone, get that from another part. And then our clay, our actual paint is from another part of the Pueblo. And then the wild spinach plant is like our black paint that we use. So all of this, we have to go harvest at certain times, and it takes us a year to process it. Like, we fire outdoor with aspen and cedar wood, and and also we use cow manure. So we have to gather all the cow manure a year before, throw it in the barn, let it dry out till it's bone dry, and the clay, we dig it, and when it comes out of the earth, we have to ask permission to dig the clay, and we harvest it exactly where our ancestors have been getting it for who knows how long. So there's this whole respect for how we ask permission to remove this from the earth, from her, and to state our purpose, who we are, and then we're able to take and feed the earth. And then we bring all the materials back to Cochiti, and we let the clay dry out for a whole year, and it's finally ready to work, because it comes out of the earth still moist and very dense. So there's no way that you could work with that because it's too pure. And if you mix it with the other type of sand that you're supposed to do it to prevent like the shrinkage when it's drying, the drying stage, the piece will break because there's little pure clumps of clay in it. So that's why we have to let it dry for a whole year. Once it's dried, then we crack it up, rehydrate it, and then it's able to mix equally with the temper. But it's old school ways how we do that. And I've learned, my siblings and I learned how to make the pottery with the geometrical designs and the figurative pottery that Cochiti is known for. So each family has specific designs that we use, and it tells stories. It's all based on nature and all our family stories and the crests, if you will. So we build those pottery, we fire them, and there's these specific, what Cochiti is known for, specific designs, and all of us learned that. But when I was about 10, 11, 12, I started changing my style without my parents teaching me what to do, what I was doing, but it completely turned a 180 from what they were doing. So my figurative pottery started making these weird kind of cool characters or animals, half man, half human. I mean, half human, half animal, and then I started painting it completely different than what we normally would paint it. And this one collector by the name of Robert Gallegos out of Albuquerque, he would come, and he was a dealer, so he would make buying trips to the Pueblos, and he had always stopped by our home like maybe three times a year. So he had noticed that my pottery was completely changing from what I was taught, and he was asking our parents, like, well, how is this kid, who's teaching this kid this style? And my parents were like, nah, he's just doing it. Like, he's experimenting, we're supporting him. So around 15, he said, please bring him down to my showroom in Albuquerque. So my parents and I jumped in a car, headed down to Albuquerque, and it was the first time any of us been to a showroom. Went in there, and we completely tripped out, because when we went in there, like, we seen all the pieces that he had, and it just blew our minds and our mouths dropped to the ground. And my parents pulled me out of that place, and they spoke to me in our native tongue and said, like, you see what just happened? Like, we didn't teach you any of this, of what the pieces that you're creating right now. And they're like, this is the clay talking to you. So remember this part and for the rest of your life, because the clay is talking right through you. But what had happened is what we seen, this whole collection, it turned out Bob Gallegos had the largest collection of historic cochiti figurative pottery from the 1800s. And what I was experimenting on and what I was doing looked identical to these pieces. And my parents never showed me how, my grandparents never showed me how but that connection was made when I was like 15. So at that age, I knew I was going to dedicate my life to continuing the tradition of making this type of pottery from cochiti. And from then on, I was like, okay, I'm not going to school. I know what I really have to do. This is talking to me. It's not me. And so my parents were there just to support me and help me. And really, the gallery doors were open through our mom, because she was in gallery. So I was able to know the gallery owners and start making, try to make a life at it, because I knew I wasn't going to school and I knew this is what I was supposed to do. And also there's two reasons why I'm here is to educate the world about the 1680 Pueblo revolt. And most people don't know about the revolt. It's America's first revolution, but people don't call it that because of the genocide that happened to our people. And it's basically been swept under the carpet because of the bloodshed, and it's not taught in schools. It's not in our history books. None of it is there. So on our another family member on the northern Pueblo, his name is Herman Agoyo. So he was the spearheading of the storytelling of the Pueblo revolt. So through our connections, our family members, and then eventually his daughter became my manager. Then we had promised him and talked with him and learned as much. He mentored us of how to keep telling this story of the revolt. So when I was a kid, I was like, okay, this is what I have to do. She became my manager, and for over 2 decades now. And we just developing this whole storyline and how to educate the world using art about what happened to our people. So this is how I built my career, and how like going back to like seeing the first Star Wars movie, right? Like I was so affected by watching, like when I was 7 years old, and learning how these characters looked, where they came from, what kind of ships they had, how they dressed. And I was like, man, this is like, like how the hell did I learn that much information in just one movie, hour and a half or whatever it is. But so, like in 87 through like 99 is when I started really getting all these messages of what I'm supposed to do. And I was like, how am I getting all these messages? Or my parents nobody was teaching me. I never, my highest education was high school. So I had no idea where all of this information was coming from. But I slowly started remembering that I would get visitations from what my parents said were spirits. And I do know that spirits are real in the indigenous culture, and that's just a part of our life. But there's another type of visitation that I would be getting, and at first I was like scared, out of my mind a bit. But
everything like that.
Yeah.
What's
So
going
I
on
would,
here?
I would tell my parents about it. They're like, okay, yeah, don't worry about it. It'll be okay. I'm like, yeah, this is like a little bit different, but. So I was able to like calm myself, and I would sometimes like wake up, and then I would have so much information in my head. So I was like, how the hell is this happening? And then I would see these like it would always be like a set of 7 large black figures standing in what I thought was my bedroom. And they would always be like working something from like my waist down. And they were completely, if you look at my art, I have sculpted them, I've drawn them, I've did every possible way to capture what they look like. And hopefully when I put it out in the world, somebody can recognize who these people are or these beings are, and hopefully they have, you know, like I'm just looking to help people or trying to find out who they are. I know they're helping me and feeding me information and giving me ideas of how I'm supposed to develop this whole teaching, and also to keep the pottery going. So every time, like sometimes I won't remember when they would come, but they look super black, super shiny, very oily. They look like the universe at night, just completely stars everywhere. They look oily, and then they would have horns out of their faces. Very beautiful. They weren't intimidating at all, but and then they have horns coming out from the back of their head that would kind of move around like cockatoos. I guess that's the only thing I can explain it like. So they very beautiful beings, and they were skinny but very long bodies, long arms, and I could like look at them and I could really just listen to what they're saying, and all of a sudden I have like so many ideas, or I've been trying to find the terminology, but listening to you, Scott, and everybody's all the videos that you post has helped me to use that terminology and be able to explain it to people a little bit more clear. Because like when I talk about, they're like, people are like, wait, what are you doing? You're making all kinds of alien looking artwork. You know, what is indigenous about that? What is that? I'm like, it's a part of the whole thing. But listening to you guys helps me, like getting all this information and comparing it to like downloads. Because sometimes I would remember the next day when I would wake up, I'd be like, what the hell? Like, how do I know how to paint? You know, like on a piece of paper when I would normally just paint on a pot. So I would try to paint, and I already know exactly how to do it. Then the designs would come to me, and I'm like, what? Where is this coming from? So like, then it would just slowly develop like that. Or say like for sewing, what I told you and Beth earlier is like, I never knew how to sew, but I was in high school. One morning I woke up again, I was like, I'm supposed to sew. So I busted out some, you know, which was funny. I was like, I busted out some of my dad's suits, and I completely destroyed them, took them all apart, reworked the whole material, and remade clothing from them. And I was like, how in the hell did I do that? I have no idea. I have never had training. And it's so then like all of a sudden in my head, then all these ideas started to mesh together. I was like, okay, let's like make these characters and let's tell the story of the Pueblo revolt, so that educate the world using my art. And then it just keeps growing. So all of a sudden I work in multimedia. You know, the most training I've ever had was YouTube University. So it's like, that's the only training that I had. So it's just insane how quick all these messages come. But
so
sometimes
at first it felt like a dream.
Yeah, it felt like dreams at first, but like then I could feel that sometimes there were dreams, or sometimes like I don't, if you're being taken to a ship, or they're helping you feel like you're in your own room or in your own house. But I know it's someplace completely different, because I feel like I'm underwater and I could move really super fast, and everything again, there's like, so like I could literally move around my house with or wherever I'm at, like super fast, like the Flash, right? But I could see everything completely, and everything that I'm seeing, and remember everything. And like the tiniest little light will look like a bright spotlight. But then that's the part where I told you guys, like it looks kind of like the Matrix, like with, you know, everybody knows the green letters or numbers falling in the Matrix movie. It sometimes looks like that, where there's just so much information everywhere, but at the same time you're moving super fast, but you could slow it down and just absorb everything what you want. And there's always this certain space, or I don't know if it's a ship or what it is, but I would be taken, and like how Beth would talk about how she would get taught and how she would have to learn certain stages. I think it's the same spot, because I also seen what she had seen. And when I explained to her about the black figures that are super beautiful, super, you know, they're not here, they're here to help and teach, or go there. I don't know what it is, but she recognized those as well. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm not freaking out. Like, I'm just, I'm making this as real as possible for everybody to try to if they pick up something from it, they could see it as well, or they might be able to recognize it. But when she said about learning, she would go into a kind of a school, like, and she said like third grade is what she felt like where she was at. And I would be the same thing, like how I would go into a super white room, and it's just like white infinity. And I could have all these orbs around me. And I don't know if those are spirits or what they are, but they're just feeding you information. And then I could also see like some kids or other people there that are completely freaked out. And my job was to talk to them and just say it's okay and calm them down and just say like, this is what we're supposed to learn. This, I don't know who they are, but they're you could tell they're scared. And I imagine myself being scared like that as a kid, because I remember them getting visits when I was like 6 years old. And
Right.
I'm 52
You're
now,
more
so.
you're more advanced. You know, you've been there. So you're, and Beth is in that same area. She's, you know, she was telling me too, and she talked about being in this learning room. But there's other people that are there also, but they're being resistant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So you
definitely.
need to just calm them down. And like I was telling Beth a while back, when you're there or you're taken for more learning, it may be mundane, you know, it may be boring, but think of it as yippee, I'm going on vacation.
Yeah.
When you accept and don't fight it, the progress goes so much quicker.
Yeah. That's one thing
You
about
learn
like,
so much more.
yeah. And like if you talk about it on an everyday learning situation, like I work with the universities and students a lot, and I love doing that because like once you meet all the students, and my first thing is like remove all the imaginary hurdles that you all have put up in your life as far as you remember, because every person does this. And I don't know, I mean, I do it too, but I've learned to not do it anymore. And that's just a way of you're intimidating yourself and saying like, oh, I can't do this, or scaring yourself. Like I'm afraid to do that. What are people going to think about me? But the second anybody stops putting up these imaginary hurdles to jump over, your path is going to be open a lot easier. So that's you training your mind to accept so much,
Right.
So much intellectual or ideas, or to know how to do stuff. Doesn't matter where it's coming from, but you learn that much quicker once you remove all your doubts. Am I here?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought I went away, but that's the part
You're
like where.
You're kind of on
Okay.
and off, but you're still here. Yep.
Okay. So, but that's like the first thing to the students I tell them is remove all that, because once you remove your doubt, you're able to do a lot more, and not to be afraid to fail when you're doing anything, any projects or everyday life, because the second you fail, yeah, it hurts, but teach yourself to accept that failure, learn the lesson from it. And our failures are our best teachers, because it tells you to get right back up and do it again. And all of a sudden you learn how to do it. So the second you accept the failure and you're able to figure it out, you're going to learn that so much quicker. So
Absolutely.
I always tell the students, don't be afraid to fail. Like, so we can fail all the time. I'm like, no, that's not the goal. But don't be afraid to fail, because you're going to learn things a lot quicker. And that's what I learned since I was a kid. And everybody can do this, and manifesting what you want to think about. If you're, all of your ideas, we have this in our heads, and it goes into your body, into your chest, like a box that isn't, or a safe that is in your chest. And all of your dreams and your goals, a lot of the times we get intimidated, and then they just stay forever locked in you until you have the courage to open it up and then go after your goal and it happens. So set your goals high and keep your safe in yourself and your spirit and your body as clean as possible, because that means you're checking out more of your dreams and just moving as forward as you can.
It's totally right. I mean, it's in life, or if you're going to another dimension with our space friends.
Yeah.
The more you learn, the more you are able to fail is that learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was getting something when I was chatting with you the other day about you know, when you're learning to use your mind in a greater capacity in another dimension, right? When you do go on these school sessions, you're in a different dimension. And I was getting this hit the other day when I was talking to Beth. Do you remember that movie, Officer and a Gentleman?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? So
Yes.
they go in this oxygen deprived room, right? So they got to do these little tasks like patty cake or play cards or whatever, but they start getting disoriented. And I was given that reference to Beth about when you're there and you're learning, it may be mundane things, but you're learning to expand your mind in a different dimension. And if you accept it, your growth to be much more expanded.
Mm-hmm. And all of it is real. A lot of people, we all doubt ourselves, but the second we drop that doubt, and we know everybody's capable of doing this, and you just have to listen. The second you ask for something, you put it into your thoughts, your prayer, you put it into the universe, you immediately get back an answer of how to do it. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, it's gonna be, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be really hard to do this work to get to what you want. But you immediately, if you learn to listen for what you ask for, you're given exactly what you're supposed to do. If you're going through a hard time, like how do you put a prayer there, like how do I get through this? Boom, your answer, the universe answers you right away. But you just have to do the work to do it. So every time, like when I work with students, I'm like, man, set your goals as high as you can, because once you learn how to do this, about removing all the obstacles, removing all the hurdles, you get back the information of how the work you're supposed to do to get to what you want, and all of a sudden you accomplish your goal. You're like, man, that wasn't that hard. Like I should have set it higher, right? So it's like, don't set your goals. Do set your goals as high as you can, and just work at it and just keep going for it, and don't stop, because like all of us are capable of moving to the next level. And now that this world is dying out, the new one is being reborn. So we all have to keep up with that, with all the teachings, and how it's going to become more what people call spiritual. When you feel, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, and that's another part of the stuff. Like you get fed, like when you, like when I wake up, like I was trying to explain to you, like I don't know. Sometimes I don't remember when I get a visit. It could be 2 or 3 times a year is what I remember. But like all of a sudden, it just happened like maybe 2 weeks ago, I think, because I wake up and all of a sudden I have a massive amount of information in my head of how I'm supposed to, like I've never used gold leaf before, or I was like, what the hell is gold leaf? Why am I thinking about that? And so then I was like, okay, then I ordered gold leaf, and I get it, and then I know exactly what to do with it. Like, how the hell did I know that? I don't know. But so I was like, wait, I get another visit? How the hell did that come from? They're like, so like what? I mean, it's just funny. It's really funny because like when you get on my Instagram or whatever, then well, you'll know what I'm talking about, because there's so much crazy stuff that I dabble in, but it all comes to tell the story and make sure that our pottery stays alive. But also now getting deeper into it, I've always wondered, how the hell am I getting all this information into my head? But I always remember my parents speaking, and in our indigenous culture of what our ceremonies and stuff, when we pass, like, they tell us exactly. I can't get too much into that because it's personal, but it is very real. And so everything that they have taught us is happening now, and I can listen to them. I can hear their teachings, and but then like why I'm here is that specific reason, and it's to help people as well to understand it, and also to help other artists to be able to show them how to make a living at it, because like art is important as important as our language. Art is a way it documents what we're going through. It documents our history, and it tells our stories. So it's very important to do our art. So that's what is most important to me when I work in universities, is like I really want to help those students fulfill their dreams and teach them how to make a living at it. But yeah, like as going to school, like it's insane, like how you go into this really white space. These orbs are everywhere, but like Beth had described them as like carrying iPads, clear iPads and all. But these beings are telling you, okay, this is what you have to learn, practice this way, you can do this way. And like about the telepathic ways, what you had touched on once before, I had given you like the example of how it's everyone's capable of doing it. And I think that's how we're going to start communicating closer, is through telepathy. Is that the word? How do you say it? Telepathically? But
telepathy. Yeah.
Okay. So like this, it's just funny because like I have a team in my company, right? And my manager, like I don't, and I asked you, I said, is it wrong to do this to people, like where you send them your thoughts, you send them like what the topics, how you want them to learn, and this is how I'm being taught. Like when I'm asleep, like these beings are telling me, okay, this is what you want to learn. All of a sudden, like within 5 seconds, I was like, have we been talking about this for days, or like how long have I been here? So like, whoa, what the heck? It's like I learned all this stuff like in that quick. But then at the same time, like since we started this this broadcast, like everything we've been talking about, and if I'm in a room with a person, I could think exactly what we just been talking about, and all of you guys would get that message, and it would be in a second compared to 30 minutes, whatever it was. But and you just said no, it's not bad to do that. But I said it's kind of funny because like when everybody can do it, but they don't realize they're doing it. And like I usually do it to my sisters and my family because they know about it. So we're talking about something and I'm thinking about what I want them to think about. I send them the messages, so they're just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden they just switch their conversation, and it's exactly what I've been talking about for a while. I have no idea that they just did that, and unless I say, well, "Why are you telling me this? Where did you get the idea?" They're like, "What?" Well, we're just talking about this. I'm like, "No, we weren't. You just said it out of somewhere." It's like me thinking and sending that much information that quick, so I'm all like, "This thing is real," and if these beings can send that information to me that quick, I was like, what are they teaching me to be able to teach others how to do it as well? And
yeah,
and like and I was like, okay, well maybe I'm supposed to do that. So and my manager knows this about it because like and sometimes I don't tell her because it's funny to me. We'll be talking about it. It's just like, oh my god, this is what we're doing. I'm like, I know already. So it's just insane how it feels like that information is just like going super, super fast. And you could do it like I've done it. Like when we went to, say, a club, like that story I think I told you about. And some of my closest friends are like, do it now. I'm like, I'll try it. So we went to this club that had like a big party from, we were at this conference called the NCICA, and it's when 6,000 potters come together for a conference and all over the world, and it jumps between different cities each year, but they throw a big party at the close of the NCICA conference, and so everybody goes to this. Oh, are you there, dude, or is that me? Okay, you back?
Yeah, you're good.
So it was just funny because they're like, do it now, and I was like, I'll try it, and we go to this bar where all the potters are gathered. And there's like, the bar's way over there, and there's like at least 10 people deep to order your drink. So I said, okay, let me try it now. I'll be concentrating. The music is a boom, boom, boom. And I've never been to this place. None of us have been to this bar. And I just look up at the bartender, and I had like I was with 6 people. And I said, okay, let's make it easy. We'll just get like Stella drinks, right? And I just looked at the first thought about it was like, hey, this bartender is going to get my message. He's going to get us 6 Stellas. He's going to walk over to some site, or he could just hand it to us. We'd have to wait in line. So I was just coming up with this thought and this idea of what was going to happen. So then the bartender, he just looks at from behind the bar. He's all like, hey, what's up? He was like, 6? I'm like, yeah. And that it was done. So then he just picked up 3 and he goes like this. And my friend was like, what the hell? What the hell? I was like, it worked. So we went to the side and he just motioned like that. We went around towards the dance floor. And he goes, I said, okay. And I said, you guys have to tip him really well. So they like tipped him $20 or something. So we had drinks like that instantly. And they're like, do it again. I'm like, no, it's like, I don't know if how, that's what I'm saying. Is it bad to do this? Or because this guy got my message, obviously. And he just popped up the 6 Stellas and held it up to me. And that's it. But it's just funny how, and I felt this from people doing it to me. Like one of the students when I was working at Colorado College in Colorado Springs, and I was up there and they had opened the workshops to the public. So this father and son team came in, and the kid was 14 years old and the dad was my age, and I think they took all my workshops that I did. I did like foam fabrication, I did costuming, and a ceramics workshop. So they came in, and this kid was very quiet, but he right away spoke to me without saying nothing. And I was like, whoa, who is this kid? And so there are all these adults and some students, but then there was this kid, and his name was Foster. And his dad, he was like, okay, well, like they took all my workshops, so I started to know them more. And the kid would just watch exactly and listen to what I was teaching them. And he would just like, I was building a bust in clay, and he never really worked with clay, so he just listened to exactly what I was doing. I was sending him messages. All of a sudden, he had a bust exactly, and like he left all the adults in the dust. And they're like, whoa, you can do this. And it was like tripping out at him. And I was like, then I would just go to Foster, and he'd just look at me, and he would ask me, how do I do this? And I would just send it right back to him. I was like, okay, now hold the inside of it. You have to hit it with this and like shape it this way. And he would do exactly what I was teaching him. So I was like, this kid already is like way beyond me. But it was just funny because the dad, Daniel, and the son, they said, our mom wants you, to come to dinner, invited me to go check out their studio and their home. And it was amazing that when I finally had a chance to go visit their studio, it turned out they were both artists and painters and metal workers. So I heard like banging in the background. And do you remember the movie Flashdance, where the female welder was, like the big old helmets, right? So I was like, where's Foster at? And he goes, he's in the back. He's like, Foz, come out here. So Foz comes around the corner, and in one hand, he's holding like a bright glowing piece of metal, a hammer in the other hand, and like one of those big old welder masks on. And he remember he's like 14 years old, his little kid, so this helmet looked really huge on him. And it was just funny because he was like, oh, hey, come back here. So he just turned around and went back to what he was doing. But he was working with these machines that could eat anybody, like huge metal machines. And he was this little dude, and he was hammering it and working with the metal and making a weapon, like a really cool art weapon. And after he was done, I was like, this is insane. Like I didn't, how this is like crazy, because he knew how to do all these types of artwork. Finally made it to their house, and they said, let's go, let me show you Foster's little studio in his house. And he was a genius, because he had all these toys, and he would totally remove everything. He would take like a normal little race car, rebuild the whole thing, and he would solder everything. He would make it electrified and have these lights and have these moving parts. He'll make all these toys move. And I was asking his parents, I was like, man, is it okay if I ask him to collaborate on some of my museum shows that were coming up? And they're like, yes, please do it. I said, okay. So I said, hey, Foz, you want to collaborate with me? I was like, what does that mean? I said, I'm going to do these shows at these big museums that are coming up, and I need to create these weaponry for the characters that I have created that are telling the story of the Pueblo revolt. And they're futuristic characters. And I said, I normally make them out of foam and like cardboard and make them look like they're metal. But he's just funny. He just looked at me as all lame. It was just funny because he's always like 4 steps ahead of any adult or any person. He already knows what you're thinking. He already knows what's going on. So At that point, his parents had told me that he's on the spectrum, he's dyslexic, ADD, and they're like, okay, come on up. Like, we're going to show you the, his bedroom upstairs, the whole house. So we went up. I had asked Foster. I said, can you create like weapons for this character? This is what they do. This is what they look like. Here's what I did. And he said, okay, cool. He goes, well, which one do you like? What you showed to me? I said, I like this one. He goes, okay. And he just took off. He left us. He ran away from us. But I didn't know where he went. By the time we got to his room, he was sitting in his room on the floor, and he was like, hey, like this. And he just held up his sketch pad. And he goes, which one do you like? Everything like 15 minutes earlier, we're talking about the weaponry. He had already sketched perfect drawings of each weapon we're talking about. And I was like, what? I was like, no way, how'd you do that? And in his room, he had 5 computer screens, and he had built his whole computer. Oh, are we here? Are we here? Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I felt like it blacked out. But he had built his whole computer screen by himself. And this kid is a genius. So he was like, well, pick which one you like of that one. I said, I like this one the best. And I was looking at his parents like, how the hell did he do that? He said, okay. Then he left us again, finished the tour, went back down to go eat dinner. And he was sitting at the family computer in the kitchen. And he turned the screen. And he was like, check this out. And he did this. And like in 10 minutes when we're upstairs, he had worked in a CAD design software, computer-aided design software. And he had fully rendered the weapon we're talking about, what I picked. He fully rendered it, ready to cut out of that. And he was like, when do you need it by? And I was like, this is not real. And he was like, the kid was just like, he was laughing, and his parents looked at me. I was like, this is amazing. And he goes, do you want it to work? Do you want it to fire? I'm like, no, I don't want it to work. It's it's a prop. So he goes, it's spring loaded. We could make the tip shoot off if you want. And I was like, no, just keep it. Don't make it dangerous. But it was insane. So when we sat down to eat, we kept talking. I was like, this is amazing how fast he works. And I get what he's sending me. And I know what, like his parents, I know that we're sending messages back and forth. And I was like, this is this kid. I feel like I was the same as him when I was his age. And then they asked me, they're like, well, how long have you known? And I was like, what are you talking? I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, they're like, well, you're dyslexic, you're ADD as well. And I was like, what? No. And they were just laughing at me. And by that time, like I had spent like 8 months in Colorado. So we became good friends. And I was like, I didn't mind them saying that. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, you're ADD and dyslexic. Like, I don't know. So they're like, have you been tested? I said, no. And then they just cracked up and they're like, okay. So they're like, give him the test. So they gave me this piece of paper and it had words written on it, paragraphs. And I was like, oh, great. So I was like trying to read. They're like, read it. So I was reading it. And then like growing up, I always had to read papers like 3 or 4 times to understand it. And I was trying my best to read it one time to understand what I was reading. And then they're looking at me and I was like, what? They're all just reading it. Okay. And then they said, did you finish it? Yeah. They're like, okay, now try to read this paper. So it was the same amount of writing on it. And I read it and I just skimmed through it and I understood it right away. And try. And they're like, you're totally dyslexic and like ADD. I'm like, what are you talking about? But what they're showing me is like because they had to homeschool Foster to really show him exactly what. Am I here? They had to really learn about his how he had to learn, right? His being ADD and dyslexic and on the spectrum. So this type of font that they're using was used for dyslexic people, and they're like, you're totally dyslexic, you should be tested. I'm like, should I get tested? Like, no, you've already figured out your life, what you're doing, you don't need it. Like, I was like, well, is that why I already knew as in high school that I was not going to go to any higher education because it was so hard for me to concentrate and learn anything by reading it. But if I just get all these messages, I already know how to do it. So, and Foster knew this. So then now, like, he's on my team and I call him like his title's like the head of the fabrication department. So he's like in 5 different museums with me, and we just did like a show at the Kennedy Center and also the what is the the Kennedy Center. He was in there, so he made all the weaponry, and then also at the Met in New York. So it's just amazing to make that connection. But when we're talking about telepathy, he can do it as well, and it's just amazing how you can do it that quick, and it doesn't. Anybody can do it, but I think I don't know. I just want to know if anybody out there can do that as well, or like
Not
I don't
me,
like your viewers, and I think that's a part of what I'm supposed to teach other people as well. If that makes sense, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're.
Yeah, I think you're a teacher.
You do have something in the
You have
background.
something in the background.
Do I what?
Like there's an echo when I talk.
Oh no, do I have an echo?
Do you have another device on?
No,
No.
I can turn my phone off. It's not on.
Turn the volume down. Something creating an
off.
echo. Okay. So does what was his name again? Your
Foster.
Yeah. Does he know how he gets his information?
I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't, but like I don't. He's young now. He's like 16, I believe, and we've been working together for that long. But I don't really want to push that angle, or until his parents like recently asked, like, does he have any interest in like aliens or other creatures like this? Like, does he know anything about it? But I mean, it's weird. I don't know where he's getting it from, but
Okay.
like he can definitely do it. And he's way smarter than I am, or like way more intelligent. He knows how to do this, and it's just amazing to watch that happen. But I know the capabilities of it, and I think Beth is learning that as well.
Yeah, I mean, like anyone that gets this inspiration, get it from a higher source. You know, even like Michelangelo or Socrates,
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla. You know, people like that just don't. It comes from a higher source. It comes from our ancient ones. You know, you just don't wake up one day and you're like, hey, I know everything in the universe, you know.
And I remember asking you for guidance because I've never reached out to anybody before. I've only had like twice in my life, and I was with a really good friend, a gallery owner, and we were walking around in downtown Phoenix, and there was this woman, a palm reader, like sitting outside of one of her storages. Like she would just open shop, right? And so she'd read palms, and I was there for an exhibition at his gallery, and we set up the whole show, and I had just arrived that day, so we had the whole show, set up the whole show, and we went downtown to go eat, to get something to eat. So when we passed her, he was all, do it, I'll pay for it. And I was like, okay, cool. So, and he already knew about these happenings like in my world, like I shared it with him, right? So he was like, do it. I was like, okay. So as soon as I walked up, she was like, oh, and I was like, what? I was like, hi, how's it going? And then she goes, okay, well, she goes, well, you're gonna sell out. And that's all she told me. I was like, what? How? We didn't even ask her anything, or like, you know, she barely looked at my hand, and she just said, you guys are gonna sell out. And she didn't know I was an artist. She didn't know he was a gallery owner. And she goes, that's all, have a good day. So he took her big. And then the next day was a show, and we sold out. So that was just like another crazy thing of how there's certain people that are very gifted that way. They're very open-minded, you know. And I was with my nieces in the Santa Monica Pier in LA. We had gone there, and they're like, oh, Virg, do it. So there was another palm reader there, and we had just lost our mom at that time. Just recently, maybe she was like past like maybe 3 months or something, but we went there, and when she looked up and like I asked her to do a palm reading, and she was like, "Who are all these people?" She was like, "Whoa!" And she said she immediately seen like so many around us and around me, and she was like, "This is incredible. There's like so many there." And then I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I thought she was just talking to somebody else, or like I thought she had an earpiece on or something, or talking in her phone. But she, and then when I gave her the money, I was like, "It's okay." She goes, "I want to do this." So she was talking to me, and she said, "Your parents are very proud of you, and they're very happy, and they're happy that you guys are all together." And all of it, there goes my nieces, busted out crying right away. And this is exactly what our parents would tell us, like, to take care of each other, take care of the family, and make sure all of you guys stay together, don't fight, or just support one another. And they're so like my nieces were bawling already, and I was trying to keep it together. And she kept on going, so she said, "No, like there's a bunch of them behind you, and they're helping you, and they're helping you understand this." And she that too. And that's all. And she goes, "Okay, that's all. I can't. There's nothing else there." And that's it. So when I reached out to you, and I never asked a person to do a reading like this, because I don't know if, or I knew that they might get blocked, or I knew I had to like, don't think anything or don't send them anything, because I might be screwing with what the vibes you would get. So that's what I asked you, and I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna not." And I asked my manager to reach out to you, so it wouldn't be me personally reaching out to you. So
Right.
I won't screw with anything, or I won't mess anything up.
Right.
So she did it, and she's trusted, like we're a one person, right? And so when you read it, I was like, "Oh, this is insane," because it was on point, and you had seen. I didn't know that was unusual to have more guides or more people with you than what did you say, 3 or 4? Or
Usually I see 3 or 4. If someone is like sensitive or has the ability to be psychic, I'll see at least 4. But I've never seen someone with 5. Only you.
that's insane, but I know that they're there and it's real, and I know that in our culture that they're always with us and taking care of us. But from my point of view, also there's all these different visitors, and I guess they're aliens. I don't know. I feel that they're us in the future. That's what I feel, but I don't. And they're teaching us. That's what they're doing. They're just trying to make everything better for us, and we have to listen. And I feel it's my job to try to help people understand, I guess, and to comfort
Eventually,
people.
I mean, you have been given a definite gift from the higher ones, and you said you've seen them. And when you see 7, you said you've seen 7 at one point. Nope, you hear yet?
Since I was a kid. Yeah, since I was a kid, there are always like at least 7 of them. And
Well,
I haven't.
7 is like what I've seen in my own mind's eye is like 7 is like a high council.
Oh, whoa.
So do they all have like, do they look like royalty?
They're very beautiful and very, yeah, they're like, you could tell. I mean, they almost look the same, but they're super shiny, black, beautiful. And like in our culture, they would call it, it would translate to mica, but that would be the universe, the sky, like the rock mica, right? How it's shiny, it's like glitter and stuff, but that would translate to what that is. And it would eventually go to the universe. So that's the only way I could explain who these are. And I mean, I know a lot of people have seen different types, but I've never seen a lot, like I never seen the small ones before at all. So they're always like 7 feet and taller like that. And they look,
everyone
like,
seems to have different experiences with different creatures or types. But in your case, and I've felt it since I started reaching out to you, is that you're tapping into a resource that is very, very ancient. going
It's-
back to Sumeria and the Anunnaki and all that. It's just very ancient. When I tap into my own source and think about it and try to visualize, I don't see any with horns like you've drawn. This goes way back, and it's hard to get into.
I mean, I've tried to listen to you as many broadcasts as you can. I tried to research and see if anything stands out, and that's when I was like, oh, when I heard Beth and you talking, you and Andrea talking about sometimes in the mystery theater, is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this is something that I have to share with you guys where I'm supposed to. And sure enough, like Beth realized or seen some of the same ones that I have. So like I didn't know Anunnaki or some Samaria or so, and what you're saying, like so some of the sculptures look like, and I had no idea until I looked into the what we're looking at, and it tripped me out to see a lot of these symbols that are in my head and that I used in my show in 1999. Holding up, had the figures on a pedestal, but in the background next to it, I had painted these symbols larger, and I was hoping that somebody would recognize it, but they didn't until Beth. And then like when I send you those images about those funky kind of types of letters or whatever they are, the one that you drawn, I totally seen that, and that just about knocked me out of my chair.
Those symbols you drew were back in '99.
Yes, that's when I mean, I recognize these all the time, but that was the first time I actually showed people and put them on into.
Okay,
into
so
public.
that makes a lot of sense when I tried to decode them. Because if they were just like recent, it wouldn't make any sense. So I was trying to decode them. I talked to you earlier, and it's all about expansion and moving forward.
That's crazy. Because I don't know what they mean. I'll show you the ones that I mean, just for example, when you said they're like very,
Right.
can you see them? Very
okay,
thick.
flip that around. Turn it the other way. Straight up and down. Yeah, like that. Okay. What I was getting, that circle is a planet and a moon. The line there is dimensional. Coming down from higher dimensions, the one to a plane of dimension that we are at. So they're revealing from the planet that they're coming from. That's the ending. That's what I was getting from that drawing there.
Dang. I mean,
that one, okay. That one I was getting, it's like mountains or pyramid. And the energy and communication from Earth to higher source. That's what I was getting from that. And then our connections to Earth and them. Now that one was a little more difficult. Okay, turn it the other way. The other way.
That way.
Let's see, to your left. To your left. Yeah, right there. Okay. Right there. Okay. What I was getting, the upper right is a spaceship. Ships. And the vibrational movement on the left is them moving. And and the bottom thing was kind of weird. It was kind of like coded time, but basically revealing themselves is what I was getting there. Let's see, I wrote it down. It's like returning from the stars, and it felt like a date. So, and then there was that last one. Not that one. I didn't see that one very well. You showed me 4.
Oh.
Let's see. Where was that one? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, let's see. How was that facing when you showed me? Nope, not that one. I think it might be the other one though.
I think I showed you that one already.
So you showed me that one. That was felt like mountains, and that was the planets. There was another one about the burial sites and the energies of life. Which one was it? Oh, that one. The one in your left hand. Yeah, that one. That one was I was getting the sacred burial sites and the keys of life and energy. That's what I was getting from that other one. That one felt like the ships. The ship coming. So it's what you did in 99 there, which is kind of like with Beth, I was feeling like the expansion of growth from our friends up there, you know, giving us higher vibrations and higher knowledge. So in that time frame, what those four was telling me is that it's telling a story. Rebirth, life always continues. There's energy coming from us. And then the second part feels like they're in the mountains, you know, they're secret bases and whatnot, and there's energy flowing upward through pyramids and whatnot. And then the other one was like returning from the stars, and it was also something about different dimensional planes, and it felt like a date of when, but I couldn't get a date. The one symbol felt like a time, you know, it's kind of like they draw in shorthand, alien shorthand. I don't get it, but, and then the one felt like it was describing their planet. I couldn't get the name of the planet. It's weird to me.
That's so insane.
But it feels like at a certain time, they're going to show themselves, you know, like you were telling me about your volcano dream, the fire volcano dream.
That's another thing that, like, I mean, my one of my older nieces, we have the same dream on what's happening, but where Kojiti is located between Santa Fe and Albuquerque, right? But so we look north, right over the mountains. That's where Los most. So I was like, Kim, her name is Kim, and I'm like, I always see these like 5 fire tornadoes coming over the mountain, and they're not burning anything, but they're burning them. They're like alive. So when Beth talked about that, I was like, wow, that's exactly the same thing. And like when I told that to my niece, she was like, oh my God, did you help grandma? And I said, yes. And so she knew exactly what I was talking about before I told her, because I would always help. It would always be women and young and kids that I would have to gather all of them because they'd be tripping out. And I don't know if it's the future or the past where these people that I'm helping or trying to protect, I don't know where they're from. But and like after Beth like have coats and how they were dressed in sandals and stuff, I can't remember how these kids and women were dressed. But when these were coming over the mountain, I was like pulling them into rocks, into shelters. And then like I was just protecting them like with my body and telling them it's going to be okay. Don't worry about this. It's going to pass. But it was always women and kids that I would be doing that to. And my niece seeing the same thing too. And she had asked me, did you help grandma right away? And I was like, what? How did you know it was like, it was a woman? Or so this was just funny things like that. But I don't know where that is coming from. And I don't know. And I know like what Beth talked about, it was very similar. So I was like, man, this is something that she should hear about, or, you know, we connect, and we did. So it's just amazing too.
Yeah. So I tapped into that, and I think I told Beth, or maybe I told you, I can't remember, but I think I told both of you what I was getting from that. And it feels like that was, since the fire had no destruction to it, it felt like, and I was getting that vision in my head of like the movie Independence Day.
Yeah.
When the spaceships arrive, it kind of visualizes a fire and some kind of tornado, you know, and there's smoke everywhere, you know. It felt something like that. It felt like you would be able, and Beth and anyone that understands would be able to calm the masses that they're not here to hurt us.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me. Because I was trying to think of this and see this, you know, tornado, fire, or whatever coming over a hill. And then I was shown the Independence Day.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't it wasn't destruction, it wasn't burning anything, but people were afraid of it.
Right.
So I just had to, it's not gonna hurt yours, you know, it's just calming people down. So I was like kind of really trying to be like, okay, you guys come here, come this way, like gathering as many women and kids as I could. And that's just trying to send them my thoughts like of calmness and like it's cool, don't worry about it. And this like the only other time that something that went way beyond another person experiencing something with me was with my cousin, and we
tell me that story. That was funny.
that was hilarious because like that was like one of the only times that this happened. But I've never been engaged in political, you know, situations or been a political junkie in my life until 2015 when all this started, right? And it was so insane because I discovered Sirius XM and like I could get in my vehicle. So we were working in Santa Fe and we were coming and there's like a long stretch to get to because we live off of the interstate and it's like 15 minutes or so to get back off the interstate to Cochiti. And it's a long drive with just completely nothing there and mountains, and you could just see like the whole area there. And that place is very special or sacred, I would say. But we were driving that way and we're listening to, I don't know, it was dark, I know, and it was in the colder months because it was dark like at 6 o'clock, right? So we had finished working and we're coming back home. We're listening to, I know Chris Hayes, that show came on, and we're listening to that, and then we're driving, and like it only takes us 10 minutes to get to, or 15 minutes to get to this area, but it was stormy, and it was like getting ready to storm, and it was like lightning and stuff, and we're listening and talking about it, and all of a sudden, like you go a little bit down into towards Cochiti, and there's a little elementary school there, and by the time we got through this the storm, right, and we got right to the bottom of that hill, we both realized at the same instant, at the same time, we looked at each other, and I was like, what the hell? And he goes, well, what the hell? What's going on? And I was like, what? This is freaking insane. And I was like, what time is it? I was like, it's like 10:30. And I was like, what the hell? It was just barely like not even, or 6 o'clock. I was like, what? This is insane. So, and that feeling of knowing someone right next to you, we completely realized at the same time that something happened. And I was like, yes, somebody experienced it with me. You know, I was like so happy. And he was like using customers. He was like, just take me straight home. Just like it's done. I was like, don't be afraid. It's okay. It's okay. And he was like, I don't care. Just take me. I was like, we are going home, but don't worry. I was like, but did you feel, well, what the hell was that? So it was just insane. And we missed like 2.5 hours when it only should have taken us 15 minutes.
Right.
And the only reason why we realized it at the same time was because we're listening to what comes after Lawrence O'Donnell, because it's like Rachel Maddow, then Lawrence O'Donnell, then Brian Williams. Then it was already on that show, and it was really trippy. And he was like, "Oh, just take me home." I said, "Dude, we're almost home, like 5 minutes away." But for that, we lost 2.5 hours out of nowhere, and there was no explanation for it. But we normally would have not even realized it until we sensed it at the same time, and we just kind of felt. We looked at each other like, "What do you?" This is like really weird feeling that the time was missing. But that has happened to me before, but not with another person like that. So I was so happy that it happened, but we never really discussed it again after that. But that was
Right.
just insane. That like, how
A
do
collaboration that you're not crazy.
how do you lose that amount of time out of nowhere? It's insane. I don't know, but I was happy because I know when I tell people details, like my close family, right? They are used to it now and they don't doubt it. But then if you tell somebody else, they're like, it's kind of off, you know. But he already knew what I was about and like what I told him about before. But that was the first time anybody else had experienced that right next to me.
That is nuts. I've had other readings with people that they're wondering, where'd 4 hours of my life go? Same thing.
Mhm.
They were
Mhm.
taken for a while.
Yeah.
So on that trip, you don't remember anything about it, just that you
Nothing.
lost the time.
Yeah, we just like usually you don't remember when it happens at all. Like it's just a glitch, you don't remember. But this was amazing that we actually came out of it at the same time and we knew exactly something happened at the same time. We just looked at each other and we're like, what happened? What? What's going on? Yeah, and it was
So do you feel tired, a little different, energized? Did you sleep more that night?
He said he went home and he fell asleep. And I'm a nocturnal person, so I don't sleep at all hardly. I usually lay down like at 5 a.m.
Wow.
So it's like I'm usually creating at nighttime is when I feel the most messages coming through. And like when everybody else is still and everybody's asleep and everybody's at peace, resting, kicking back, you know, just getting re-energizing. There I am working in my clay cave is what I call it, and just listening to all the information coming in. So I'm like, oh, I guess this is what, you know, I'm supposed to do next. And that's how I work with the main gallery that I work with, King Galleries, and my manager Tish. I'm like, okay, guys, like this is my next show. This is what it's gonna be about. Here's a new character that has spoken to me, like what I'm supposed to make, and this is an addition to my whole storyline. I'm telling the Pueblo revolt. I'm telling the Pueblo revolt that happens in 2 different time dimensions, 1680 and 2180. It's telling the same story, but it's happening exactly like now. I feel like in different time lengths or wavelengths or dimensions. You almost could just like reach to the next dimension right there, and it's happening at the same time. You might be somewhere very far away, but it's happening the same time. I don't know how to explain that, but that's how I'm trying to tell my story of the Pueblo revolt. So that's where all the characters come into play, and that has been fed to my head to be able to make a living and to reach more people, to make fantastical characters like this that people you could see next to a Star Wars figure or a, you know, Black Panther or something like that. But all this is just information that what I'm getting of how I'm supposed to work it and educate people that way. And a lot of it, the main message is our indigenous culture, what happened to us, and then also us from the future or our friends from the future coming back to where we are now and the past. And what they're doing is gathering information, gathering pods and shards and designs, our languages, our dances, and taking that, what they have found, and then they take it back to the future. They store it for us. They're protecting it. So by the time we make it to that time, we still have our traditions, our traditional designs and all, and our stories, our history. So it's like, if I feel like it's us in the future doing it, but of course there are a lot smarter people from the future that can do this. I don't know. That's the best I can explain it, and that has provided the livelihood that I live in. Like it's taken me around the world. I've had shows, like 2 shows at the Cartier Museum in Paris. I've had a show in Prague and Amsterdam. And it's like when you're teaching Euro people about our history, they know exactly what I'm talking about. The Pueblo revolt, they know more about our history than Americans do. So when I do a show here in metro cities like LA or New York, they're like, what are you talking about, the 1680 Pueblo revolt? So then that gives me the pedestal or the soapbox to educate people. And when I do a show where it mostly happened in Santa Fe, people are still like, what are you talking about? So it just feels really little bit of shame, like, because foreigners know more about our histories than we do. So
Right.
I feel that this is how they're feeding what I'm putting out to everybody, to the world, of how to educate people through art. So that's where you see all these characters, but then they're things that I see in the future. That's who they are. But it's all about
Yeah,
healing, and it's
yeah, very true. What I sense is those black, you said they have black like skin or something.
yeah,
I
they're
think those,
complete.
I think those are the time traveler ones. They go back
Oh,
and forth and they're giving you information. When was the first time you remember? They allow you to start remembering a little bit?
as a kid, I was terrified of him at first, but that was when I was like a kid, like 6 years old, right? But
Right.
probably when I was maybe 17, 18, around that time, I knew I was getting messages from somewhere, because I don't know where the hell I learned all this stuff from. But then all of a sudden, like when I was maybe 19, and I'm like, what are these things? I was like, did I party too much tonight, or what happened? But no, they were there. So at first I was like freaked out, but then that connection or that thought in my head already would say, like, we've been showing you this whole time. So I was like, whoa, those are you guys? Okay, cool. So after they sent me, or they calmed me, then I don't fight it anymore. And as soon as I didn't fight it, everything comes really quick in the conduit. And that's why I tell, like, in all my lectures, or all the students, or now all the Zoom lectures that we do online, is it's all through that conduit and what they're feeding me and what I'm telling people. But it's a good thing, because it's all in my heart and in my whole being. Everybody that I operate with, is all, we have to promote positivity and love and light and strength to everybody, to make sure that everybody knows that they're capable of doing this, and thinking of something positive in their life. If you're down, and if you concentrate on something that's making you down, you're going to give that thought momentum. And if, like, in your emotions, how you feel, the more you think about it, you're feeding it, so it's going to grow more. So what I'm here to do is to help people understand that you could shut that off. You could just stop it right away, and you could more or less get over it and just leave it where it's at and don't feed it. But if you concentrate on something positive and something that you want to do, something that you want to learn, you put your emotions and your thought, and all of a sudden it starts building and going and going, and all of a sudden you know how to do it. So this is how everybody has to learn and take care of one another, because they're people that are way more advanced, and that's what I'm looking for, is like how to communicate this with other people, and let everybody know that it's okay, and you're able to manifest things and positivity and light, and heal yourself, or help.
Right.
You can't
Beautiful.
you can't tell people what to do. You can show them how to do it and teach them, but then it's up to that soul to do it,
Right.
not yourself, because we're all here to do our specific thing we're here for. We're not here to do somebody else's thing, or what they're supposed to be doing. But if we can find that connection of how to help each other to do it, then it goes faster. So I think the more you open your mind, and that's why meditation is really good for everybody, and know that anything is possible. The second you know that and accept it, then you're able to get all these messages, and you concentrate on love, strength, and light, and you're able to emit that and push that to everybody. So this is how I build our team, and who we work with. And like, when you grow older, you know the people that are the same way, and they're here to help each other. And so all of a sudden, you used to have tons of friends, and all of a sudden it just gets into your tight little, your family, your second family. But then you reach out to people like you, like I felt that I could trust you right away. because I know you sent me those messages. I don't know if you did, if you knew that, but you did. So, so that's why I was like, oh, okay. I told Tish, I was like, this is the guy that we're supposed to tell this to. So I said, okay, now I'll tell him the whole story and why he was getting a block. And I said, I don't know if it was me sending a block or if it was these people or it's protection. And I know, yeah, and I know like who's around me. Like there's some wires, and then I know it's our parents as well. But there's other ones that are there that are beyond that too. So they're there all the time, and we all have them. We're what do you call them? Like your protectors or your angels, I guess. Is that how you say it?
People call them everything, you know, like spirit guides or your angels or your protective entities.
Yeah, everybody has
basically your angels. That's good. Your protectors.
Everybody has them. Yeah, and everybody has them. And like sometimes, like it's hard to convey that message, but if people understand this, it's like you'll never be alone. You will always have somebody there to talk to and to guide you. And this is like something that is available to anybody. So we can heal ourselves if we're feeling really down, if we're going through a hard time. We can learn how to stop feeding that energy and then move forward and and heal ourselves, because eventually you're going to heal yourself. But that takes a lot longer. If you just let it work itself, it takes a lot longer. But if you know how the things to concentrate on and how to the thoughts that you have and to listen to the universe or the stars or whatever you want to call it, like you're able to heal yourself and to move quicker forward and learn stuff faster. I don't know if I'm talking too much or not.
No, you're beautiful. You're going great. You're good to go. It's just like when you have your meetings or proposals or stuff, you project it. You imagine that it's going to go wonderful, and that was perfect.
Yeah, that was amazing too when we asked you for feedback on that of what was, we had a big proposal, we had something big that we're working on, and you looked at that, you threw cards on that, and when you did the video for us and we watched it, we were just like, this is pretty, we are thankful. And we're like, we found this guy that we're supposed to be talking to. So we're like, oh, cool, this is exactly right. And then it all matched up. And then again, like when I opened up to you and told you exactly what was going on and shared with you more and like became really open with you, then you're like, then you got it. But I just didn't want to send like any kind of blockings or any kind of hurdles the first reading. So that's why I asked Tish to reach out to you first, so that we had to try to kind of keep it separate, because I know the protectors around me could do it.
Right.
Well, like, no, don't look at him, don't do this stuff. And I know, but because we all have them, they're all there, and just know that they know that the higher source is always listening to us. They're always there to help us, and they're always there to give us the how we heal ourselves and how we're supposed to think and move forward. And then, like I said, eventually everybody does it. But if you're able to learn this faster, that opens the door to help other people. And that's what I do, is help other people understand and show them what the light and the strength and love of whatever they want to believe in. But it's all there. It's all there for us, and it's very simple. And that's what Indigenous people are about. It's about taking care of where we're living, about our earth, our mother. It's so simple, and we've been teaching this is what we're taught. Is a simple way of life and how we take care of her. But obviously now it's she's had enough, and she's getting upset, and she will definitely show us. She will definitely show us what is wrong, but it's going to come back to where all of us don't need what we have. We don't need materials. We don't need everything, but it's just a way of like how we're moving into the next world. how you're able to utilize all these materials and stuff to help other people too. So all of it is good in a way, but we have everything we need. And no matter we grew up poor, we grew up, I thought I had everything in the world, and that I really did. And, I had clay, I had art, I had my parents, I had my community, my Pueblo, all the ceremonies that went on. I look back and I was like, whoa, this is insane. And what has screwed with us is all those social networks, right? People get sucked into that, and they're like, a world is something that is fake, and it's like makes you want more stuff, which is like, you don't need that. But if you're able to use something like that, there's certain people that can help other people. And the more that people learn how to do that, I think it's the best thing for the whole world. Once we become united and we're better together, then we're able to heal and grow quicker.
You have a platform to get a little bit more out there with your shows, your heritage, creating your little circle.
Yeah, all that is fed to me of how to do it, and it has allowed me to make a living at it. So there's no way I better do something better, very good with it. Positivity, love, and that's as simple as it is. And if I'm trusted with this talent and it's not mine, it could be taken away from me in a second. So I know that I have to do the best thing I can with it, and it's education, and it's spreading love and together for everybody.
Excellent. All we can do is put out our knowledge, and whoever accepts it, accepts it.
And I definitely love to show you guys around in the studio, like on another time, on another broadcast, so I could show you the art. And,
your man cave, your work center.
Yeah, I'll totally show you everything, like what I do. I mean, but a lot of if you want to see them immediately, like there's a bunch of videos on my website, and it's just my name, virgilcheese.com. And
I put it on there a few times.
Oh, cool.
I put it a few times on the chat, and you have a couple videos on your YouTube. I put that in the description to click on.
I don't have that. I didn't really get on YouTube until I seen you guys. So that's it. I mean, I didn't really pay attention to it, but I know it's another platform now. I was like, oh, now I get it. Okay, it's simple, but I mean, the way you guys use it to bring the community together, it's really supportive. And whether or not that you guys know that you're doing this, it's gathering love, and it's the more minds that are brought together, it's that much more powerful to spread that, and that's what we all have to do.
Yeah, you never know who's gonna see a video and get understanding or want to reach out.
Yeah.
And I've met through channels, whatever, three of you guys now that have had experiences and learning to live with it and the growth from your experiences. It's been an incredible journey for me too. I find you people much more amazing than me. I'm just an average Joe. I'm just a little conduit here.
You're definitely a teacher of how, I mean, I didn't know anything about it. Like the terminology was never with me. I didn't know. I was like, okay, I just knew what's happening. So I was like, who the hell do I talk to? What do I share this with? That's why I was guided to do it through my art, through the art that is put out there. But to be able to connect with you and the community around this, is just like amazing to now realize, like, okay, this is like, it doesn't matter what color we are, it doesn't matter the color of our skin. We have to join together, and that's what we're made for, is to all be together. But yeah, like, dude, like what you're doing is amazing, and it has taught me so much in just like a couple of months. Like, I think you did the first reading like in July or something, maybe, or June. I'm not too sure, but to the things that you said to Tish and I, it really opened our eyes, and how it gave us more clarity to what is happening and what's going on. And it gave us more confidence to, again, to reach out and to become a friend, and to become, a part of the team. You know, I'm no better than anybody else. I'm like, we're all the same. And I know, I've known that. And like the work that I do is way bigger than me. It's not me. It's coming from somewhere else. So I think that's when a lot of things came to clarity, is when I admitted that. I was like, this is not me. This is not, you know, my talent. And the second I knew that, then more information came. And I'm like, okay, this is, you know, this has to be used to unite people, to educate people. Yeah, no egos. No egos here.
You know, it is in my mind, you know, yes, I feel blessed for what I have and what I can share, but the creation that you do is amazing to me. Even though you are assisted also, it's more, you know. I can sit down and try to draw a picture and it's horrible, you know. You know, and I could try to chop some wood and create something and look horrible, you know. I don't have that kind of thing in me. So it's, I mean, it's instilled within your heritage and family, but you've gained more insight from elsewhere, from tens of thousands of years.
You don't know what to call it. You know, it's just there. It's always been there and always will be. Then, now, always. You know, it's always there, and we're a part of it, and we know it. We just don't know it.
Yeah. Have you? Another question I forgot to ask is, did you get any other knowledge from your grandfather or grandpa about any kind of being connected with any beings besides spirit?
Yeah, how it was presented to everybody is all about spirits, about souls. But it's amazing to me, like, of all everything that we have here in our stories, is it's connected to other than spirits, and it's connected to even like to our friends. So I'm like, wait, okay, all right, so this means that, but then all of a sudden, like, the more now that I've been researching what all of you guys have talked about and opened my eyes to, I was like, wait, that means the same thing. So I was like, how in the hell did we know this for as long as we remember, and our elders teaching us the same thing? But it's about, you know, how we're taught, and then we left, and then we're coming back again, then we're going to leave again. But as a group, so I was like, how, I don't know how, I mean, that's how they explain it to us, but they said always would tell us, don't ever doubt anything, and don't, you know, we're telling you the truth, and this is what our ancestors told us. So there's so many things that are closed dances, closed ceremonies to non-Indigenous people. That's only meant for our people, of what these minds can handle. But then there's other dances that include everybody, non-natives as well. So it's just a way of sharing, but like there's other things that are just will blow anybody's mind. Like, you know that movie, what was it called? It was a cartoon about the Day of the Dead. It was a really good, cool movie. That just it's pretty new, but I think it was a Disney movie. But it was talking about the Day of the Dead, like when the spirits are allowed to come back for one day. Do you remember that? I can't remember what it's called.
No.
Other people remember it, but all that, like, we have something similar here in the Pueblo when spirits are allowed to come back and visit, because most of the time they're taken to a place where they can only protect us but not come to our homes. They're allowed to protect us and watch us, but one day, a specific day, they're allowed to come in the Pueblo. And it's just amazing where I come from, of how everybody comes together again for this day. And we can't have like radios on, phones on, TVs on, or nothing, electronics on, right? So or you just have to like be really very calm and quiet, because the spirits are back for a day. And like the kids were all, oh, okay, yeah, all right, we'll do this. But there's like doubt, and our parents will be like, don't doubt this because it is real. But when we were all gathered in the house one time, like, these dogs, right? Maybe 5 dogs were like completely all ran from the outside in our yard, and they made a circle, and they're all looking up, like, you know, when you could shine like a laser light on a wall. Yeah, you know how they do that, but the dogs were in a circle, and they were all looking up at this one point, and they were all doing that. They're doing like this in the daytime, and then all of a sudden they ran from our parents' house to my house, and we used to have a bench right outside the front window, and all the dogs, all of a sudden, they're chasing something. They all ran, and they stood up, and they looked into the window, and they're all looking in the, you know how they do that kind of look, the dogs, they're all doing that, and they're just looking into my house, and we're at my dad's house, and my parents just looked at us, and they're like, they didn't even have to say "told you so." They just said, they just did that, and then all of us were like, then we all just sit down, and we just, you know, became quiet again. So we're like, okay, this is like, they're here, they're real. So it's amazing to experience those and be a part of that, you know, something that we hope to carry on that tradition. And like for me, it's like, I know what I'm here to is like to bring our art and to make sure that our art stays alive. Because there's other people that are leaders and other people that do other things, but my specific job is to carry the art on. So I won't stop creating until I can't. Put it
Rock
like
and
that.
roll. So a lot of, can you see the chat or no?
I can't see that.
You can't?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, people have went to your site checking it out while they're listening.
Oh,
They
cool.
said it's incredible. Incredible.
Oh, right on. Yeah, just reach out on Instagram. I could usually, that's where I post everything from, and share it to like other social networks. So I'm able to communicate with people that way if they want to leave a message or direct message me on Instagram, and if they have any questions. But that's like the most part where I'm most active on a daily basis is Instagram. And
Instagram.
yeah, you can just see what I'm working on, and I try to post like videos and try to show the process and talk about what's happening. But yeah, most of it is for women empowerment and about indigenous and how we always try to help up the women in higher regards, as it always has been. And that's where my whole storyline is based on women empowerment. And I have 4 sisters and 39 nieces and nephews, or I can't remember, 39 or 40. But it's just, yeah, it's just, well, we have a big family, but it's just really cool to be blessed and have that many people around us. And some live in, in Utah and Los Angeles and Pittsburgh, Texas, everywhere that we're all spread around. But like for certain dances, we all come back and we all hang out in my studio. So like in another broadcast, I could give you guys a tour of the studio and show you what I have in there and where I create all these works.
Cool. Something else I was going to ask. Oh, do you have a link on the Instagram on the website?
Yeah, definitely. There, yeah, just if you get on the Instagram, then you could just go, what do they call it, the bio, like where you say where you're from or what you are an artist. There's a Linktree link on there, and it takes you to all the links that you want to go to. It'll take you right to the website.
If you go to virgilortiz.com, is there a link to Instagram there?
Yeah, it's on there as well.
Okay. I got to re-up my Instagram. I haven't used it in years.
I know. That's how I feel about YouTube. Like I think most of our videos are hosted on Vimeo. So I think it's just my name on there as well. So that's what I got to try to catch up on YouTube stuff and how to post on there. Because like I only have like a couple of them. I don't even know.
You're right.
But, yeah.
I think there's like 7 or something like that. Yeah. I think there's a way to link if you video on Instagram, it can get posted to YouTube too. I think.
Oh, cool. I'll definitely try that.
I know I have to I might have to do a whole new Instagram. I don't know if I can get it back or not. It's been so long.
It's like, what's my login password?
Well, I mean, we
No,
have
dude.
so many. There's so many, social media sites. It just gets overwhelming. Oh, I need to check my Twitter. Oh, I need to check my Facebook. I need to check my Snapchat. I need to check my YouTube today. Then you got text messages and messengers. It's like
Yeah, it's chaotic. I mean,
website. So
and then the
long
thing
ago, I
that
decided to drop Instagram.
I love the political reads that you guys do. It helps a lot of people get through what we're going through. But
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
has.
I will totally share with you like what I got on that. Like I've never been a political junkie, like I told you before. But like in 2016, when the whole Dakota Access Pipeline situation was going on, when a lot of the indigenous people were trying to stop the pipeline from being laid, like all of a sudden it happened again. Like I got so many messages and like all these things, all these different people that I never knew, like in the political world. And what the result of that information was that I made a series called the Prediction Pot series. So I made like maybe I think there's like 8 or 9 pieces from this series, and it was like it was before what his name was inaugurated. I won't say his name, but it was before then in 2016, right? So I created these pieces there, and when the inauguration happened, like I already had seen like tons and tons, millions of women protesting, and I didn't see the pink cats, but I did see a bunch of women leading this march, right? So then I made all these different types of works and sculptures, and the first one that I had released, and I'm slowly going to release them until Biden takes over, right? So I'm slowly going to start releasing them of this Prediction Pot series. But the first one I had released was called Rise Up, and it goes, and it's a pot, but it has 3 different angles that you could see the pot entirely of. So like the first image has 45 on there, and he's riding a black snake, and he's holding bundles of cash, and that was talking about commenting on the Dakota Access Pipeline of how much money they're trying to get from this black snake. So he's riding out like Bronco. Then he turns the pot a little bit, and then it shows the next scene where he's dressed in clown clothing, has big clown shoes. He's slowly turning into a skeleton, and these snakes have now infiltrated his body and are taking him over. You turn the pot one more time, but that's representative of what I see in these millions of women marching. So it has all these fracking machines and all these women's hands uprising, and coming down from the lip of the pot has one woman's hand that is holding him by his suit coat, and they're tossing him out. So one of that prediction was that it would be all women that would have the honor to remove him and to finally, hold accountable. But it's just been amazing, all those messages in 2016, and I made the artwork to make sure to document it, how they're all coming true. And like there's another one called the Timeline, but it has all these people standing in line, one in a row around the pot, but it's called Timeline, but it's like they're all standing in line to await their sentencing. So there's a lot of these there's a lot of these people that I know. And, I'm friends like with our congressmen here, and like I was like, dude, like I know you've done this for like we've been buds for 25 years, and when they're raising money for DNC and stuff, but I was able to meet like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and Biden and all these the top Dems. So they would come to Santa Fe and they would raise money, so I would help them when these events would go on. So I was like, okay, cool, and that's why I became politically engaged and learned more about it. So I asked my friend, I was like, okay, is it possible for this to go down? And I told him my whole prediction of what was in my head, what I got the messages, and he was cracking up, and he was all, technically it could happen, but most likely it would never happen. And my predictions was that he would be impeached, but not removed. And like all of, and then when I was watching your readings about it, it was about him hiding in hospitals behind health. But what I had got was that he would have many strokes or stroke out, and then he would use the hospital to hide behind it to try to avoid going to prison, right? So I was like, this is insane, and like he was not going to make the full term to the 20th, and I felt that Wonder Woman is what I call Nancy Pelosi, is that she would have to take over for a short while until Biden's inaugurated. But yeah, that, and then like everything has been coming true so far, so I don't know what's these last days are gonna happen. But once this whole thing goes through, I'll release the whole box, and so that you could see what I'm talking about, what the predictions were. And I don't know how to read. I mean, I bought some cards before, and when I tried to throw it, I was like, all these messages came out of it. I was like, whoa, I don't know how to do this. It just like came to me really quick. I was like, this is what it feels like. I was like, okay, so I wanted to ask you guys to learn more how to do that. But as far as like the terminology, like it's more intuitive, I guess. So that's how all these other predictions and all these thoughts in my head come. So I just wanted to share with you that about the political stuff too. It calms me, and I was like, okay, these guys are, I've seen this like since 2016, and I was like, and Tish would always say like, how did you know this? Like, I don't know, and I was like, I didn't even know anything about political stuff. I'm like, I don't know, but now I've been able to, really become engaged in that and to get people to try to vote, and like this is our voice, and it matters. Each one of us matters. So like on Instagram, like, people will be direct messaging you say like, I registered to vote because of your posts and all this stuff. And if you follow stories, I really comment heavily on political situations. So, and of course it prevents me from exploding, like from getting really pissed off, so that's kind of therapy in a way as well. But the Instagram feed kind of stays a lot more cleaner, but it's just kind of, it helps. And that's like therapy in a way. And if I don't talk about it, I'll just like, all right, so I just go right back to art. Clay heals, art saves lives, and it helped millions of people, and it saved my life, and that's why I have to do the best I can with it.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy times yet. I feel like that's still in play. There's still over a month as far as Pelosi. I totally don't believe he's gonna stick around till the 20th.
I don't think so either.
Something's gonna happen yet. There's no way.
And it's all there's gonna be more people going. It's just gonna be insane how the whole world will be chanting of what the chants that they started about locking her up. Flip flop, and it's like the only people who blame are themselves, and that's what it is. And laws of attraction, I believe in heavily. It's real. So we all should act as best as we can, because when you get older in age, like you learn how simple it is, how everything comes together, and how positivity takes over, and how it becomes more clear with age. But I wish I'd have learned that immediately when I was younger. Right? But now that I was like, oh, that's what that meant. Okay, so this is how now it allows me to teach the next generation how to.
I think we just got too much, as far as males go. I think we got too much adrenaline going and testosterone when we were younger. And we finally calm down a little bit, then we wake up a little.
Yeah, no, it's true. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out too. Like all of you guys have definitely helped me therapy wise and calm down and learn more. And like we all have to be aware of what's going on. If we don't do anything, we don't vote, we're just gonna go with the flow. So it's better to speak up and do the right thing. For sure.
That too. And as far as intuition goes and using our abilities, practice makes perfect. You're talking about, like when you went to the bar and used your ability.
Yeah.
As long as you're using it for good, practice, it'll only increase, that that.
That's what I asked you right away. I was like, dude, is that wrong to do that? And you're like, no.
Yeah.
But it's really hilarious when you experience this, because anybody can do it. And like Foster did it to me, and he's like he was 14, and I was like, how the hell did you do that? And I was able to recognize what he did. And I'm like, wow, I can do that. I mean, you did that to me, and I didn't even realize it until I was talking about something I didn't know what I was talking about. So it was, I was like, what? Okay, and that's like, and then it's funny because like if you're just having a conversation sitting in a truck or with your family or the dinner table, then try it then, and then all of a sudden they'll start talking about what you're thinking, and they most of the time they don't even realize that they do it, and all of a sudden they're just talking about it, and then that's when everybody's like, why are you laughing? And they're like, Tish is always like, quit laughing, what are you doing now? What are you talking about? What are you doing? And like, so she knows that this is happening too, and like then I'll explain it to her. She's like, she called me like a little nickname. She's like, Crunch, what are you doing now? But it's just funny because more and more it just happens, and like, but other people are doing it too. They don't realize it until you point it out. They're like, wait, what? How did we? How then when they realize that, then they're able to do it as well. But yeah, it's definitely there.
Like when you're at dinner, just mentally ask to pass the butter. Pass me some corn.
And like a lot, and like the most common one is about the phone's gonna ring. That's what I hear most, and it's true. Yeah, it's true. But that's what most people already know how to do that, and it's all about practice. But wait until we start using more of our brains. It's gonna be incredible.
Well, you're on the fast curve.
I hope so.
I'm still trying to figure out perfection of my messages, make sure I'm getting it right,
But Scott, you're a teacher. You completely taught me a lot, and now I know that there's other people that understand it, and we're able to talk about it, and that's a form of healing. So now I feel
it's not easy to let your experiences go, because not everyone will agree. You'll be thought of as a weirdo or something, but through your art and through others, you can subliminally message others.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's like my baby steps of how I was taught to be able to convey the messages is through using art. So like you can do it, and then all of a sudden people get the message, and they're like, okay, that's what it means, but they don't know they're getting it right away when they're seeing it. But it'll make sense more in the future when I'm way gone from this, from this part. When I go to the next higher up place, will be so cool, and then that you've done your job. So
there you go.
I'm not saying I'm not. I'm excited to learn more about all that too. So it's gonna blow everybody's minds.
Yeah. Renee in the chat goes, "Hey, I'm a proud weirdo right here."
Hell yeah! This is who we are. Like,
some people are proud
weirdos. Yeah. I think I mentioned this earlier. Like, one of my mottos I stuck with since I was a teenager was "Call me what you want, as long as you call me."
Hey, so there you go.
I turned it into a business motto too. So if you take anything that you want and turn it into positivity, and like it can help you if you if you pay attention to it. You could do whatever. You could do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were talking about that earlier, and creating your circle of positivity. It's the same thing with prayers, or sending energy for someone that's ill or something. When you have all those people sending that same energy, it's very helpful. It does help.
Man, like if you're able to see some of our dances, like our feast day dance is July 14th, and it happens every year except this year, which is just really weird. And it's hard because that brings all of our community together, and like all our families together, our prayers together, and we're together doing this ceremony, this dance. But it's been really hard to not be a part of it. I'm usually not even here in Coachity. I'm usually teaching like for the semester, right? So I'm able to go on like from January through through May, and then I would come back and then we have our big feast day, which is July. So there's preparations that go on before then. So I'm here like June, July, and August, and those are the months that I'm back home. So I work on my traditional work then, but then in August, then I take off to do another semester somewhere else. So I've been working at like Colorado and ASU. You know, I'm supposed to go up to Helena up to the Archie Bray Foundation up there, but who knows what's happening? You know, I'm happy that we're getting the vaccine out there, but it's just, yeah, we just have to go with the flow and make the best out of it, protect ourselves, you know, stay as healthy as we can. But yeah, and there's another message that is like, I know it's like lonely to be at home and like to feel really down about, you know, staying home and staying like as safe as you can, but you can always, I mean, my family and I, we're always FaceTiming, you know, we're always Zooming, and you just have to make, it's amazing what we're living through, and we can do it. Like, we're experiencing everything, even in the political world. It's like, I can't believe we're experiencing this in real time. And
I know.
I think it's pretty insane, but.
Well, it's the same thing today. Before I got on with you, I was chatting with my lady, and she was a little frustrated about COVID being locked in. Well, we haven't done nothing, you know. We can't go to the movies, you know, restaurants or limited seating and all this, you know. And I'm like, honey, you're looking at it wrong. You know, be blessed. We don't have COVID. We both have jobs. Some people aren't getting any money. You know, they're kicked out of their homes. Remember, we've been on vacations. You know, we've done this, that, and the other thing. You know, you're looking at this all wrong. You know, be blessed in what we have, because not everyone has that. And it kind of woke her up, and it's like, oh, I guess you're right. I shouldn't be so upset that I'm cooped up. You know.
Why do I have to see you all the time?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, it's good. I mean, like, we have to look at it in a way and be as strong as we can. We have to, you know, say like our families are going to get closer. We have to protect each other, and it's opening our eyes how we have to protect everybody else. Like as far as wearing a mask, you know, that is we all should be doing the most little things that we can possibly do to protect ourselves and our family or our loved ones and the public. And you know, I have no kids, so you know, I'm gonna do the best I can to, like, you know, people being asymptomatic. I mean, I've got tested like 3 times because I had to get tested to re-enter Coachity to come back in here. I have my own home here. I live on myself, but to be able to re-enter the Coachity Pueblo, I had to get tested and have proof of a negative result. So once I got that done, I was able to re-enter, because now they have a checkpoint from our Pueblo trying to protect our people, our elders, which is amazing that they're doing that. And we're trying to really hold each other's together and protect one another. And, you know, like I'm gonna do the best I can to protect everybody else as well, like before I do myself. So I want everybody to, you know, I want to help, you know, as much as I can. And like, it's like, I don't want to be the one that would accidentally give that to someone who I didn't know I had it. That would kill me. Would hate that. So I want to try my best to keep that on a more upbeat note and try to, whoever I'm with, to just say, okay, let's go, you know, we have to do this together. We can get through it. We have done it before and we can do it again. So we have to stick together. It's a hard time, and it's really, it breaks my heart to think about everybody losing their jobs, and you know, all the food lines that people are waiting in the food lines. It's hard to see that. Like,
it is.
It's really hard to see that. And you know, like if I do, I mean, the only place I go is just to like the post office, and I'm happy that we can like prepay and make all the labels where you print them out, slap them on all the like the products that I'm doing that I make are going out. Like, you know, I'll just go drive to Santa Fe. Like if I have to go to UPS or FedEx, then I just pre-print everything and I just go there and drop them all off, and then that's it. I don't talk to anybody, or like just the only place I go is to get groceries, and that's it. And you know, stay as much as I can. But I've been lucky enough because being an artist, that's my whole life. I'm always usually by myself in my play cave creating. So like I'm used to being in isolation and by myself. So this has, as far as that part, doesn't really affect me. But being connected through YouTube or through Zooms is a lot. Is opening up all kinds of ways of how to communicate with people. And like I worked with the school out of New York City, and they were 11-year-olds, 6th graders. And I was like, oh my, how am I going to talk to these kids? Like I have to give a lecture, and I was trying to pick out my nieces and nephews at that age. I was like, yeah, but like these little kids are crazy. Like I don't know like how they act at school, so I don't know that part. But when we got on the Zoom session and the lecture, and these kids were amazing. They were super smart. I was like, what was I doing when I was like at their age? I was eating crayons or something. But to hear how smart this generation is, it was amazing. It blew my mind. So they were working with Amnesty International, and that's where I was trying to help people understand about indigenous people and like our designs and how we live, where we come from. So all these kids that are non-native were working through Amnesty International. Then that's what brought them to me. And like when I was listening to them, I was like, how do you know that? And then they studied the revolt. And it blew my mind that they were this smart. So it's just the younger generation is that they get, the smarter they are. And it's amazing to see that. But yeah, when you teach them that this way of life and the power of prayer or thought or taking care of yourself and like sharing with each other's, like it's going to go quicker. So that was very a positive part of everybody staying home. They're all in their own homes looking on their online school. And what broke my heart, but just like completely lifted me up was not broke my heart in a bad way, in a good way, to see this. They all sent me personal videos thanking me of like the lecture, and I was like, what? They were listening, and it was just like so amazing to see that, and I learned so much from them. So I try to take that in my heart and then project it out everywhere else. So it's just like handing the baton and just going on and just keeping that flow going. So the energy is there. We just have to continue on. And we can't be hurdles.
Beautiful. Well, why don't we end it on that note? It's been over 2 hours already.
Oh, whoa. Dang. All right. Well,
that was a beautiful way to end it, by taking it all in and giving it back out. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out something else for another time.
Yeah, I'll show you around my studio, and I'll show you like the materials, how we dig up, and all whatever you guys want. But I appreciate you inviting me and this opportunity to chat with you guys. And I hope if we kind of like on the next one, if we think of a topic where I could really show you and share more of what my experiences were, and like hopefully it'll help somebody else out there. But I just want to tell everybody to stay healthy, happy, and take care of one another and spread the love. We have to take care of each other's, and we can get through this.
Exactly, my friend. Exactly. Spread the love. Give it out. It's the simple standard of please and thank yous.
Yeah. Paying it forward is amazing.
Yes, it is. It makes, whether you get return or not, it still feels good.
Yeah, of course. You get heaven points from that, So just look out for one another. And like I said earlier, if you have any questions, like I can always be reached through Scott or through Instagram or whatever, and then I could answer if you guys have any questions or not. But
yeah. All right,
I'll
edit. I'm gonna put your website and other stuff in the description of this. If anyone watches later or something, they could find your artwork.
Yeah, definitely.
I got to figure out Instagram again now. Thanks.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's fun. That's all good.
So blessing, my friend. We're gonna call it a night. I should probably spend a little time with my lady now.
Yeah. All right. Sending peace, light, and love to everybody. Take care.
Bless you all. Thank you for being here, peoples. Have a great night.